Hey everybody, it's the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. Quick update. This video was recorded before the Robert Quinn trade went down. And when I say before, I literally mean like an hour before. We had literally just finished wrapping up recording. We're talking about it. We're feeling good about it, planned out our next week. And then 20 minutes later, boom, breaking news, Robert Quinn gets traded. So just keep that in mind when we're talking in the video, because we do ironically talk about the Eagles and some of the things that they can do in the future to be even better. Obviously, that's why we didn't bring up the Robert Quinn trade, because it did not happen yet when we were recording. So yeah, just quick update. Enjoy the video, but just wanted to keep that as a kind of FYI. All right, enjoy the show. Welcome back, everybody. It's another great day to discuss other people's excellence. I'm the unforgettable one himself, Mr. Brett Carroll. Charles is always daydreaming, and we're two guys that like BSN at work. All right, another football week has come and gone. Charles' Giants are still on a roll, so keep knocking on wood for that to keep going. Same with the Jets, although they've had some. Matter of fact, both teams had some really brutal injuries to their rookies. That really sucks. Evan Neal got hurt for the Giants.
More brutal to the Jets, I feel like, because the Giants fans, at least the ones I know, none of us are talking about injuries like that right now, like the Jets fans are. Jets got hurt.
Yeah, they lost Elijah Vera Tucker and Breece Hall. You guys lost
for the season.
For the season. Do you know what the status of Evan Neal?
I don't know Evan Neal's status right now. I can pull it up in a second, but I'll put the fact that I don't know his status is indicative.
A good thing. It probably means it's not that bad.
It's indicative of how we all feel right now, Giants fans in general. But 6-1, can't believe both New York teams are on this roll. The Giants specifically, it just feels good, man. Like beating the Ravens, beating especially the Packers, because teams like the Packers that every year, well, they're the favorites to win the whole conference because Aaron Rodgers. And then when they lose, inevitably lose in the playoffs, even if it's round one, it's just like, oh, I can't believe this happened. And it's never Aaron Rodgers' fault. So to be over there a couple weeks ago in London and to win just felt great. Mostly because of who we were playing more so than the actual win. And then to beat the Ravens in such a good game. And then to be underdogs against the Jaguars. No disrespect, because they're a younger team. They got a history of pain already. But to be underdogs against that Jaguars team, mind you, I have a lot of Jaguars on my fantasy teams. So it's not like I'm hating on the Jaguars. They're one of the younger teams I like in the AFC. But the fuck are we underdogs for? And to come out with that, when especially with 30 seconds left in the game, they had flag after flag after flag, giving them 15 yards and a first down on 3 consecutive plays. Our defense is getting a lot of hate for how we keep coming back in the games. There are all these comeback wins, but a couple of them are just bad calls. And I'm happy we won, because I don't sound salty now. Because if we would have lost to the Jags and I came on here and say the roughing the passer was bullshit, and the other couple calls were bullshit, you'd be like, you're salty. Get over it. Now that since we won, I can at least say those calls are such bullshit. Because if Trevor Lawrence is going to beat us, let Trevor Lawrence beat us. Don't give him 45 fucking yards off of fucking flags in the last 30 seconds of the game. And they're sus calls to the point where the announcers are like, I don't know. When the announcers are criticizing the call, it's objectively bad.
Yeah.
So other than that, I'm just happy, man. I got no complaints. I'm just worried that, because there's people now saying hey, looking at the schedule, 10 games left, Giants could end up with 13 wins. And that's cool, because if we win a playoff game.
Well, remember, last year, I said, there's 12 wins in your schedule. You got to win them, but there's 12.
We were both ridiculously accurate with our predictions of the other one's team. That shows our biases, right? Our emotions took the best of us, both in completely opposite ways.
Listen, I still say we had 12 wins on our schedule, so that
didn't, but it's okay.
We did. You got to win them, but you had 12 wins on the schedule. Again, the Browns only have 2 wins. One of them is against us. Matter of fact, both of them are against the teams I root for. That should have been a win. The Patriots game should have been a win. I mean, again, The Dolphins was, I said it was a 50-50 game going in. Like literally, there's 3 losses that should have been wins. The other losses, I'm like, yeah, those are the losses that we could have. But again, if we're what 4-5, was it week 8, 5-2, 6-2, whatever it is. If we're 4-2 right now, I'm feeling so much better because at least we won the 3 games that I said we should have won. You know what I mean? Losing to the Dolphins, I'm okay with it. Losing to getting stomped by Buffalo. I said like either it's gonna be a trap game for them and we win, or we're gonna get blown out. I said it before the season. It wasn't a trap game for them. We got blown out. So those 2 losses don't bother me. It was the 3 losses in a row, even to the Jets. I know the Jets are playing well, but we shouldn't have lost that game. We just shouldn't have lost that game. Especially when you had 10 days off to prepare for them. Those 3 losses, no matter what we do the rest of the season, that's gonna piss me off. Even if we win, even if we win out the rest of the year, which won't happen, but even if we win out the rest of the year, I'm still going to be pissed. I'm like, bro, you cannot leave 3 winnable games on the table. You can't do it. This isn't basketball. This isn't baseball. You only got 17 of them. You got to win them.
I really, your team is exactly what I thought they would be. Granted, I haven't watched Kenny Pickett, so I'm not trying to criticize him, or I don't remember if you did this on the pod, so forgive me, listeners, viewers, if you guys weren't privy to Brett saying Joe Burrow 2.0 before the start of the season. Because I remember I said, don't do that to the boy, because you thought I was coming at it more like that comparison is just Fugazi. And I was coming at it like, yo, that's a ridiculously high bar for any rookie coming on into a situation that isn't ideal. Granted, I will concede that while I don't think you guys are a playoff team before and now, that you guys definitely have more offensive talent than I really was thinking you had. Granted, as of this recording, the rumor was that you guys were looking to trade Claypool, and did that happen? Nope, not yet. But
still have a week. And honestly, the Packers look so bad on Sunday. I was hoping they were going to call before. I thought we were going to trade Claypool before the Sunday night game. The Packers receivers were so bad on Sunday. I was like, yo, Claypool's not even going to play on Sunday night. He's going to be while we're playing Miami, he's going to be on the flight to Green Bay. That's how.
And speaking of trades happening ASAP, Breece Hall went down for the Jets, and they traded for James Robinson from the Jags. And honestly, and I just threw some shade at the Jaguars. Great pickup by the Jets. That's a good replacement. He's going to be a restricted free agent, so you have the opportunity to re-sign him.
They're not going to re-sign him.
They have a Breece Hall, James Robinson tandem in the backfield. I
don't think they're going to re-sign him. I think they looked at this and said, "Listen, we're 5-2. Why give up on this season? We'll trade for James Robinson and we'll let him go." Because they still have Michael Carter, who's a good young running back, and obviously Breece Hall, assuming he comes back healthy next year, will be fine. So I think they looked at this and said, we can't give up on this season. We got to see what, we need to see what this team could be. So I don't think they will re-sign James Robinson because it doesn't make sense to. I just think this was a 1-year rental, and I like it. I like the fact that they're not giving up on their season, nor should they.
I mean, we'll see, because if he just plays to the caliber he's been playing in Jacksonville, I think you should re-sign him because he's better than Michael Carter. No disrespect, but he just is. So you could.
Michael Carter's cheaper though.
He is, but you could also trade Michael Carter for a pick. You know what I mean? There's a bunch of different machinations. The Jets have money. They're not the Giants. They have money, so they can figure it out. But do we think, as of right now, roughly halfway through the season, not really, but we're kind of at the midway point of the season, the beginning of it, do you feel like the Giants and or the Jets are playoff teams?
Yeah, I think the Giants for sure, just because the NFC is so weak right now, they're gonna get in. There's no way they don't, unless they just fall off a cliff. If they just continue on their current pace, and let's say they lose, you guys have only had 1 loss so far, right? So let's say you still have to play, you still have to play the Eagles twice. So even if you lose to the Eagles twice, right? That's still only 3 losses. And then, let's say you get a 4th loss somewhere. There's no way you don't make the playoffs with a 13-4 record. You know what I mean? You know, there's no way. So,
I mean, that's just crazy to think that. And realistically, right now, me and you are speaking about the Giants having 13 wins. When, in all seriousness, you know for a fact, I didn't feel like we were going to have 3 wins based off the roster, the money situation, the talent I've seen for the last 2-3 years.
like I said, schedule, man. Schedule is everything.
Schedule does matter, but I'm a man, as you know, I can admit when I was wrong, dead wrong about something. And I'm not saying I'm dead wrong about it, but I am admitting, fault my criticism because I had zero faith in Daniel Jones. And what he's shown me through 7 weeks is if you give him the opportunity, he isn't scared. That's where this is the first time I'm seeing this bullshit Eli comparison. Actually, I'm seeing it because the criticism that you never had about Eli was pressure don't get to him. And what Jet fans are expressing right now is Zach Wilson can't, get out of his own head to keep a lead. Like he's too scared of messing up. My criticism for Daniel Jones was this dude can't hold on to the damn ball. Like he doesn't care enough. So
it's funny. Daniel Jones is playing the way I was hoping Mitchell Trubisky was going to play.
Yes.
Daniel Jones is playing like, fuck it. This might be my last opportunity anyway. Let me go balls to the wall. If I fail, let me fail being aggressive. Whereas Mitch Trubisky was so scared to make a mistake, he was just frozen. And which to me, again, and I'm going to repeat this again. I think I've said this on the pod, but I know I've said it off the pod. It's easy for us to say because we're not in that position. But I was hoping Mitch was going to just say, fuck it. I'm going to lose my job anyway. Let me play. Let me put on some good tape. Because even if I eventually get benched for the other guy, hopefully I have good enough tape for another team to want me. Now it's like, bro, he's probably going to be a backup for the rest of his career because people are going to say, bro, we haven't seen anything from you to make you look like a starting quarterback.
And that's all I was saying to you before the season started. When you, not just you, Steelers Nation, for the most part, was so amped about this dude reciting those stats like, oh, he's never thrown a pick 6. Great, that's good. But
I never brought that up because
I know you didn't, but you did a couple of these little lines that I'm just like, you're buying into this hype, man. And it was the Nets fan, not the Giants fan in me. It was the Nets fan in me. I'm like, when you are going to be a bad team, you start like, random stats about the players you're bringing in that you're just like, oh, this is the hope that I need, which we all need hope.
Well, no, but here's the thing. Again, I never said that we were going to win the Super Bowl with Mr. Trubisky. I never said he was our future guy. I just thought he was going to be an upgrade from Ben Roethlisberger. And I even said that's not saying much, but I thought he would have been an upgrade from Ben Roethlisberger.
And he wasn't, man. I remember you acting like I was being ridiculous.
Your point, he has not been. He has not been. But again, I knew the weapons we had. I said, bro, we have weapons. I just need a functional quarterback, and my offense should be good. He has not been functional. And
I think right now, Daniel Jones has more rushing touchdowns than Najee Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Daniel Jones, this is a real stat. I believe it was last week against the Jags.
I think he has
Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley are the first 2 Giants rushers since either 2013 or in the last 13 years. One of those 2, I can't remember at the moment, with 100 yards, with 100 rushing yards. They're the first 2 Giants to both have 100 rushing yards in a single game. I think it's 13 years. I think the last time that has happened was 2008.
I think Daniel Jones almost has more rushing yards than Najee Harris, which is insane. But to be fair to Najee, he's been hurt and he's looked a lot better the last 2 weeks now that his foot is fully healed.
Going into week 7, Saquon Barkley was leading the league in all-purpose yards from scrimmage or yards from scrimmage.
And also to be fair to Brian Daboll, that was another thing. He's like, you know what? Why am I putting all this pressure on Daniel Jones? We have an all-world running back who's finally healthy. Let's run the ball. Let Daniel Jones, do his thing. And DJ. Just do the one thing that you have been doing, stop turning the ball over. And to DJ's credit, he hasn't turned the ball over. And to be fair to him, the offensive line has been better where he's not getting sacked every time he touches the ball. So the fumbles are down. Because the thing about it is, it wasn't necessarily the interceptions. The dude would get hit and just couldn't hold on to the football. So the fact that he's not getting hit alone is a good thing because that means he's not fumbling. And even some of the interceptions were probably because he's so afraid of getting hit. He's just throwing the ball and not even paying attention to who he's throwing it to. So again, it's ironic when you have a decent offensive line and you can actually go through your 3 seconds and look throughout the field. Oh, wow, look, there's a defender there. Let me not throw it over there. Oh, wow, somebody's open here. Let me throw it to him. As opposed to, hey, there's a guy coming right in my face. I don't know who's over there, but I'm just going to throw it.
Like, no, it also another thing that he's done this season. This is the first time I'm seeing this to all of, and it's because of all the things you just articulated, that he's making good reads, the second and third options on plays, and he's making the right play. Besides extending, I feel like anybody watching this understands that he's making those right decisions because he's capable of extending the play with his feet. Like the dude, no one ever said dude isn't mobile. Like we've made fun of it because people that didn't know who he was, like especially during the draft, that the way people were talking about Haskins, rest in peace, and Daniel Jones, and me and you were like, Jones is the mobile one. Haskins isn't mobile. He's just black. There's a difference here. Being black doesn't make you mobile, as me and you can attest.
Right.
But Daniel Jones is exactly the quarterback that most Giants fans like myself have wanted since Eli. We knew Eli was done. We wanted a mobile quarterback. We were sold on Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones was sold to us because a lot of us weren't sold on Daniel Jones. I'm still not sold on him.
Yeah, I still have holes in my oven from that draft.
Oh, the cap, so much cap. But anyway, holes in your oven. Those are where you're supposed to cook. I know you don't know how to do that. That's where you're supposed to cook. But Daniel Jones has improved under Dable to the point where if we end up being 13-4, we now hit a spot where, is someone going to outbid us, or are we just going to say fuck it and franchise tag Daniel Jones and not Saquon Barkley?
No, I think you're going to reset. I think here's the beautiful thing about the way you guys are playing. Daniel Jones is going to get a short-term deal. This is, honest to God, and you know I'm a Giants quote-unquote hater, so I'm being real with you. This is actually playing out perfectly for what you want to do, because obviously you're winning too many games to draft a quarterback, so that's not going to happen. But because you guys are running the ball first and Daniel Jones is just being a game manager / making plays when he needs to, it's not like he's going to command this ridiculous deal. He's just going to get re-signed. It's not going to be for anything crazy, but it's going to be like a cheaper deal on probably short term if they're smart. But hey, listen, it's been no offense, but it's only been one good year. We want to see this for another 2 years before we pay you again. So probably only get like a 2 or 3 year deal for not that much money, and it's perfect. So you have your guy for at least the next couple of years to see if he can develop into a franchise guy. You're not going to franchise him because that's $30 million. You definitely won't do that. And I don't think a team is going to outbid you to do that. And if you're Daniel Jones, I think if you're finally comfortable where you're at, I don't think you change teams anyway. So I think it's actually playing out perfectly for you guys in the quarterback situation, because you're going to pay him, but it's not going to be anything crazy. It'll be maybe a 3-year, $30 million deal, something like that.
Yeah, that'll be ideal. But that's enough for the Giants. I don't want to jinx them. I want to keep winning. There was a big running back trade, and it wasn't the Brees Lightning trade. I hate that nickname. It was somebody that me and you have praised nonstop on this pod anytime he's been brought up. I think the trade made sense. I know it came randomly, but it makes sense to move on from him and get what you can get. But Christian McCaffrey, notorious CMC, he's gone. And he's
CMC,
and everyone listening to it knows already. But I wanted to ask, first outline the trade, what did the Panthers get out of it? Because he was ready. Number 23 was playing on Sunday. There wasn't that week of like, let him figure out the playbook. No, they said he knows how to run, give him the ball.
Yeah, they traded him on a Thursday. It wasn't not like he got traded on a Tuesday. He got traded on a Thursday, and he still started the game on Sunday. And he played well. That's how good this guy is. He's amazing.
Oh, yeah. Who said CMC ain't good?
No, yeah, Run CMC is just amazing. Salute to Run CMC. Already a Panthers legend. We're going to miss you, but it was the right move to do. This is obviously a team in transition, obviously a team in rebuild. You don't keep a running back around for that, especially when that's already been injury prone, especially when that's going to cost you a lot of money, or at least would have cost a lot of money going forward. It was actually perfect. He restructured his deal in the offseason, so I think he's only a cap hit of $1 million, I think, this year for the Panthers. But then next year, he would have been another $11 million or something. So they got rid of him at the perfect time. And to me, it was a phenomenal trade. They got a second, a third, and a fourth, and then a fifth in 2024.
So the second, third, and the fourth are all this upcoming draft?
Yes. Yep. Second, a 2023, second, third, fourth, and then they got a 2024 fifth round pick. So it's a phenomenal trade. I think they were smart because they were asking for 2 number ones. So they already made the price ridiculously high, and they knew nobody was going to do that. And so, and apparently there was a bidding war between the 49ers and the Rams, which is perfect. You want 2 teams in your division bidding because they're more incentivized to outbid each other. And the 49ers did it.
Thank God the Rams didn't get him. Thank God.
Yeah.
It's not like the Niners are a trash team, but thank God.
And so I think it was a beautiful trade for both sides. Chris McCaffrey's from that. Well, he went to school. I don't know where his hometown is, but obviously he went to Stanford. So he's from the, so he's, he knows the Bay Area. So he gets to go back there. He seems super excited about going. And I didn't see anything where he like thanked Panthers Nation and stuff like that. So I hope there's not bad blood between the two. But I know he was super excited to get traded. I think it was a great deal for both sides. The Panthers only had 4 draft picks coming into this season. They almost doubled that in this one trade. And so I think it's great for them having 2 number 2s, 2 number 3s, and 2 number 4s. That's beautiful.
And they're all going to be defensive picks.
Probably. Yeah, get a quarterback in the first round and go defense.
Nah, you're going cornerback in the first round.
And here's the beautiful thing about it. I still feel like this team is not as bad as what they are. They need a quarterback desperately need a quarterback, and they need a coach. So this actually might be like a blessing in disguise. If they suck this year, I don't think they're going to trade Brian Burns, which they shouldn't. They said they're not going to trade DJ Moore. It was okay. So if they're keeping those guys and they're just going to build on what they have, this is already a really good defense with a lot of young talent. You can add, they're going to add talent to that defense. They're going to draft defensive players. If they can get one of these quarterbacks in the first round this year, and if they actually are good, 2-3 years from now, the Panthers could be one of those teams that come out of nowhere and there's like a great team because again, they have talent. They just haven't been able to put it all together. And their offensive line is finally starting to look decent because that was a big problem too. Now it's just a matter of the quarterback. Baker Mayfield freaking sucks. Surprise, surprise there. We haven't even seen Sam Darnold, but let's be real. He's not the answer. You get CJ Stroud or Bryce Young in the first round. Beautiful. If you can, to me, the biggest thing they need is an edge rusher to go alongside Brian Burns. That's the one problem with their defense. They don't get pressure besides Brian Burns. If they could get an edge rusher in the second round to complement Brian Burns, I'm telling you, this is going to be a good team. Obviously, they're going to have to replace Robbie Anderson. They need some more receivers. The Robbie Anderson trade was horrible. That was a stupid trade. They got a 2024 6th round pick and a 2025 7th round pick. Like what? Like I understand he had that fight with the coach. I understand that.
Yeah, but that is in the sports world. That's doing this. That's like not only if I could fire you, I would, because when you get traded for a 7th round pick, that means the organization would have cut you.
Yeah, 2 years from now, not even a 7th round pick this year. 2 years from now.
Oh my God, that's shade. That's putting on paper. Not only we value you less than just cutting you.
But I think, here's the thing: if they were a good team, I would be okay with that trade. You needed some draft. Again, they only had 4 picks going into the year, and you don't even get a 2023 pick. Like that doesn't make sense to me. And the Cardinals needed him because Hollywood Brown got hurt. So how do you not get more out of? Again, I know it's Robbie Anderson. I'm not saying he's a superstar.
No, but I get what you mean. You could have at least shopped around because there has to be at least one team that would have gave up a 7th for this draft.
Right. Now, granted, the CMC trade makes that trade look better now because now you have an extra 6 and an extra 5th in 2024, which is cool. But again, that doesn't make that trade better.
But when did Robbie Anderson get traded?
The week before.
Okay, so maybe that's why. Because they could have been doing this bidding war behind the scenes with the 2 NFC West teams and said, hey, we want to move this dude too. But if we get a fifth this year for him, this is the money we're looking at 2 years down the road just off of our rookies. So it could have been a situation like that where they just looked at like, our cap situation is going to be trash in 2025 if we have all these picks that we need to pay, yada, yada, yada. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm just making a guess.
Maybe. And the only reason why I might give that guy, give what you're saying, the benefit of the doubt is because I do like our GM. I thought he made some really good moves, and I think he's drafted well, made some good moves. So maybe that's what it was. He knew what he was getting for CMC. Maybe. That's the only thing I could think of, because that trade was ridiculous. If you desperately, because again, you still only have 7 draft picks this year. So it's not like you have like a whole treasure trove of picks this year. And again, I know Robbie Anderson wasn't going to get you anything crazy, but you're telling me you couldn't have gotten a 6th round pick this year? Like, you couldn't have gotten that? Like, and that's what I'm saying. If you would have gotten 2 6, right? A 6 this year and a 6 next year, I would have said great trade.
Yeah, don't tell me that you value the 7th round 2 years from now. Like, come on, man. So you're telling me there's some freshman right now that you got your eye on in the 7th round in 2025 or 2024?
Right. That to me, that doesn't make sense. Matter of fact, if you would have done the same trade, but just push the years forward, a 6th this year, a 7th next year, I would have said, okay, makes sense. But for you to get a 6th in the 2024 draft and then a 5th in the and then a 7th in the 2025 draft makes zero sense to me. And the only reason why it works now is because the CMC trade was so good. It masked the stench of that one, because now you do have 2 extra picks in 2024 already. So cool. With the Panthers, I just think they should hold pat. I know a lot of people want them to do a complete fire sale. I'm never a big believer in that, because I know, especially in football, draft picks are very important, but at the end of the day, all they are possibilities. If I already know I have a good player, why would I trade them to get picks in which I have to now replace that player with? That doesn't make sense.
Because if your team is bad right now, right? Like, because the same thing was said 2 years ago to me when I said fire sale, right? Well, you have talent. And one player that always was brought up, always, Evan Ingram. And as you know, Giants fans were like, no, I got to trade him. Like, but he has value. He has value. We should have traded him because he doesn't have that much value. The best part about Sunday watching that Jags game, like, petty, this is petty as hell because the dude's still making millions, so I don't feel bad saying this, is that they showed him at some point. It was like the 3rd quarter or something. They showed him on the sideline. Oh, yeah, he used to be a Giant. And that was it. And I'm like, that the hit to the ego there, that there isn't any talk in the New York market of, oh, is there going to be an Evan Ingram revenge game? Because that's how much hype he had coming into the Giants. That he was like, oh, he took a small tight end that's going to be the star tight end. He's the weapon. He should be the number 1. To when you play your old team the first season after you leave, it's a footnote. It's barely mentioned in the game.
Right.
And he was one of these players that you're saying now, well, we have the talent. We don't want to get rid of everybody. Because as you know, especially in football, mediocre talent looks better on bad teams.
Right. Well, but see, that's the difference. I'm not saying so. Like Evan Ingram, I agree with you. You trade a guy with Evan Ingram. Even if they traded DJ Moore, as much as I love DJ Moore, I guess that makes sense. You could always find more receivers, especially if he can get you a 1st round pick. But like Brian Burns, to me, I wouldn't trade. Brian Burns to me is a star pass rusher. You already don't have pass rushing. So now you would have to draft, and like I said, you already got to draft an edge rusher to go alongside of them. Now you got to draft 2 of them. You know what I mean? So to me, it doesn't make sense to trade guys, and now I got to replace them with some of the, like CMC made sense. Like I said, great trade. We know how running backs are, and CMC is not young anymore. He's getting up there in quote unquote football years.
I feel old, man. That makes me feel old.
So that trade makes sense. You got a lot for him. And again, all these other picks, you can always draft another running back. Matter of fact, I just watched a mock draft, and B.J. Robinson fell to the Panthers in the 2nd round. So he took B.J. Robinson. And I'm like, there you go. You just got your CMC again with your 2nd round pick. And you still would have a second round pick to draft somebody else. So it works out. But like, that's what I'm saying. If you drafted DJ Moore and let's say you got like a 1st and a 3rd for him, okay. And then that's it. Don't trade anybody else.
Would you trade for Elijah Moore, the Jets wide receiver?
Maybe.
Because living where we live, Giants and Jet fans. And when
if I'm the Jets, I'm not trading him. No, I'm like, bro, sit your behind down. You're a rookie.
Oh yeah, I would. So for people that don't know, because only Jets fans are that tuned into the Jets, he pretty much pulled some diva shit with the Jets because he didn't get the targets. Even though they won, he was bitching about it, which is always a great look for wide receivers. Do you complain that you're not getting targeted in a win? And so
this is also because I think they pulled up a stat that said like he's actually getting a lot of targets for a rookie. Like in terms of like rookie targets, I think he was like top 5 in like the last 5 years or some shit like that. And I'm like, damn. So how many more targets do you want?
I think what that is, this is me completely talking out my ass. There's Jet fans that will know the situation or feel like they know the situation a lot better than I feel like I know the situation. I feel like that was a dig at Zach Wilson. Because Zach Wilson, and this is coming from Jet fans. My friends who are Jet fans. This is not me. This isn't some random big brother hate or something.
He has over 100 targets already.
And all I know is that Zach Wilson needs, this is what I see from everybody I know. He needs to step his shit up. Jets fans in particular were coming into the season talking a hell of a lot of shit about Tua and the Dolphins and how the quarterback's going to hold that team back. And at least the ones I know have the self-awareness to be like, what the fuck, Zach? You got 9 games to figure it out, or we need to figure out this position, which is telling, because there isn't this real contingent of Jet fans that are like, yo, if he keeps playing like this, we need to fix this. And so next year, no, they're sounding like, yo, next year we can look at fucking quarterbacks if you're going to keep sucking. Because the team, now they're feeling, to their credit, because props to the Joe Douglas, that roster is good around him. No one's looking at the Jets like, you don't got talent on this team.
I said it when they drafted. I said they did more for Zach Wilson in 3 days than they did for Sam Darnold in 3 years.
To be fair, I don't think Sam Darnold would be better on this team. So I'm not going to do the whole, no, you should have kept Sam. You'd be in a better position.
No. I'm not saying that either because Sam Darnold hasn't proven that. But my point is they did more for Zach Wilson in the first 3 days that he got drafted than they did for Sam Darnold in 3 years.
Oh, yeah, man. That Jets team is young, scrappy, and full of talent. And you can say that about most young teams that aren't meh, but that team is overperforming. And they're overperforming, air quotes on overperforming at the positions that you wish to see it. Sauce Gardner is that dude. And when you have somebody in the secondary like him, like we saw with Revis a decade ago, it's a spark. It's what you need. And the players on that defense and the weapons on the offense, they play like they're hungry. They're playing like every win they need.
I think that's what it's really about, because they don't have a quote unquote star on their offense, which is what I think he's mad about. I think he wants to be a star, but they have so many weapons that you got to spread the ball around. You have Garrett Wilson, you have the running backs, you even have I think they signed a tight end that's decent. You know what I mean? So
I can't remember his name either. I know what you're talking about.
So
sorry, Jets fans.
So they're spreading the ball around, which is what you're supposed to do. But again, he still has a lot of targets. So I don't know. You know what I mean? Like
divas, man. That's the irony, because everyone blames it on Barkley, but I've been a running backs fan my whole life. Blame it on Barry Sanders and Emmitt Smith in the 90s, I guess. But they get devalued to the point where pure talent at the running back position is just interchangeable to some of these fans and GMs. And it's like, oh, we're going to find another one. When I feel like that towards the wide receivers, I'm like, yo, if you're not a D.O.P.E or a Calvin Johnson, maybe shut the fuck up, because I can replace you easier than any position. Yeah. Like, we live in an era where corners playing wide receivers, like, think about this. Cornerbacks playing wide receivers happened with prime time 30 years ago. Like, your position is less safe to me than the running backs, because as a Giants fan, who's our best wide receiver right now?
You.
I'm asking you. Who's number one?
You.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because might as well. Wan'Dale Robinson, rookie, me and you both were like, I don't know about that 3rd round pick or 2nd round pick. I can't remember now. But like we were like, oh, that seems like a stretch. But when the kid's been healthy, we're like, oh, that's why you you had some faith in him. But he's not our number one. I think our number one is Bellinger, the tight end, and it's like, who? I'm saying that. I've watched every game this year. So that's my point. It's the who's catching the ball matters, but you guys are the most replaceable position.
Well,
like for all the shade the running backs get, wide receivers, there's more wide receivers in a sport like the 53-man roster sport than any other position.
Yeah, I think the difference is wide receiver is such a weird position because when you have a great one, they are hard to replace. You know what I mean? Like Deontay Johnson is great. Like I love him, but he's
really
not.
Do.
But he's not clutch. He drops a lot of he drops a lot of passes. He ain't AB. Give me prime AB any day of the week. With all the headaches involved, give me prime AB.
Oh, bro, Odell. I've been saying all year, like, yo, sign Odell. The only reason why I'm not charging that train a little bit more is we've been winning.
Right. So it's weird because unfortunately, if you have a good enough offensive line, a guy like Saquon Barkley's production can be replaced in a way. It's hard to replace a star wide. I mean, again, you're seeing it with the Packers. They thought they could get rid of Devontae Adams and think, oh, we'll be fine. Yeah, you're not. You're not, because your guys are dropping wide open walking touchdowns where you know Devontae ain't doing that. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing it where Aaron Rodgers is making the plays that he usually makes, and these guys are just dropping it, and he's getting pissed because there is a huge difference between a dude at that wide receiver position and just a guy.
Now, and I made the foolish argument earlier in the offseason that the Giants wide receivers were better than the Jets wide receivers. And mind you, Sterling Shepard was healthy when I said that. But with that being said, nah. I'd just give them their props. No,
but we're both on the same page of Elijah Moore, bro. You're not even halfway through your rookie season. Relax. You know what I mean? Relax. Your time will come. Relax.
You are not special.
Yeah, relax.
Like, sorry to break it to you, bro. You're special in the sense you made it to the league. Yeah, you're more special than we are in the world of football. But now that you're in that league, you are easily replaceable, especially if you're going to be the one bitching about your targets during wins.
Yeah, and again, you're getting targets. For instance, if George Pickens was bitching about targets, I would agree with him. Like, yeah, throw that man the ball. Elijah Moore, the numbers say you're getting the targets. What are you doing with them?
So real quick, just for fun, because we went over this about 7-8 weeks ago, right? And we've been inconsistent because I've moved and you've been on vacation because you just go on vacation whenever you want. The Patriots at 3-4, last in their division. The Broncos at 2-5. Last in their division. The Steelers tied for last in their division with the Browns.
Technically, we're in last because the Browns beat us, but yes.
Yeah, but 2-5 is 2-5. The Texans 1-4. Let me go over to the National Football Conference. The Commanders last in their division 3-4. I don't know what the fuck's going on in the NFC West. There's 3 teams with 3 wins. The Rams are 3-3. The Niners are 3-4. The Cardinals are 3-4. Currently, the Cardinals sit at the bottom, I guess, because of the tiebreakers. The Lions 1-5. Surprising because everybody thought they were going to be better than 1-5 right now. Mm-hmm. Let's see if they pick it back up because the Bears are 3-4. I feel like everybody would have had those 2 teams reversed. And we said 8 weeks in, how you feeling? And then finally, the NFC South. Not the Panthers. It is the Saints. They're both tied at 2-5, but the Saints are on at the bottom. Now, I'm surprised about the Saints. I'm surprised about the Lions. The Cardinals. I'm surprised about because the Seahawks are at the top at 4-3, and I feel like everybody thought the Seahawks would be at the bottom. The Commanders, told you, Carson Wentz ain't shit. But yeah, besides the Giants, besides shit like that. Like the surprise good teams like the Giants and the Jets and the Seahawks. This is a weird season, man. This is the type of season that I love playing fantasy football at. Me and somebody in our league were going back and forth because he's like, oh, it's not about skill anymore. Negro, it was never about skill. It was always about luck. It's gambling. Like, what are we talking about? What skill does it take for me to draft Calvin Johnson in the first round? That's not skill, dog. Like most of our picks after the first 5 get moved anyway. Like I'm talking, generally speaking.
Well, again, it's all about luck, even in the schedule. Like I said, in our league, the 2 highest scoring teams played each other. you played, you won, and you played the guy that had Joe Burrow that had 51 points.
No, I lost. I lost by 4 points.
Oh, that's right. You lost to Joe Burrow.
Fucking Mooney, bro.
Right, and you had Patrick Mahomes. So
I had Mahomes and Jacobs.
Right. So that's my point. So you would have literally beaten anybody else. You lost to the one guy that outscored you. The two lowest scoring teams played each other this week. So whoever won would have lost to anybody else. So again, it's luck just in that sense of the word. I got lucky because I played Claw's team, and literally every good player that he had was on a bye. And I was like, Jesus, thank you for that. So
now I'm on the reverse this week. Now Mahomes is the only good player I have that's on a bye, while the rest of now I got to figure out how to replace him while I'm playing the dude that was shit talking me about skills in this game.
Yeah, so it is what it is. But the point, so to your point about the season so far, it's weird to me. To be honest with you, nothing is really that surprising. I told you before the season, I see 12 wins on y'all schedule. I had a feeling the Saints would be, I thought the Saints were either going to be really good or really bad. It really depended on how good the quarterbacks have played, and they haven't played well. The Buccaneers, I'm not surprised they're not playing that well. The Packers, I'm not surprised. I told you, I thought the Cardinals would suck through the first couple games because they didn't have D.O.P.E. And again, that's a huge difference in their offense. The Bears, to me, have only beaten other bad teams. So, okay, that's 3 wins. I mean, honestly, and this is why I'm so frustrated as a Steelers fan, everything that I have predicted, and I told you this, everybody was going to beat each other up. And I'm like, yo, there's a path for the Steelers. So that's the only reason why I'm frustrated, because I'm like, we're not taking advantage of that path that had been presented to us. Again, even last week, I think everybody lost in our division besides the Bengals. So if we would have won, we would have been right there in the division. So
right now, as expected, at least from my predictions, right? It's the state, and this is luck on my part. It's Ravens, Bengals, Browns, Steelers. And I think that's what I said to you, how it would shake out in our predictions, right? Again, that's the luck of where we are in the season right now, because as the low-key Ravens fan I've been, the last 20 years, they're not as good as we, the collective we, thought they would be. Granted, to your reason, it's a lot. Some of it's cannibalization within the division, but my Giants beat them. I saw what they are.
Yeah, they've had a double-digit lead in every game, and yet they've blown a lot of them because their defense isn't as good as we thought they were going to be. And so, again, which I didn't predict that. But my point was, again, even the AFC West, I told you, I don't think all 4 teams are going to be that good. It's just the nature of the beast. And so, the Raiders have won a game so far, and that was an overtime fumble recovery for a touchdown against the Cardinals. So
2-4 Raiders, which is disappointing. Like there's still plenty of time, and they can turn it around. But the West, to your point,
and I said the Broncos and the Raiders were the 2 teams I didn't have that much faith in. Because I said, okay, they weren't that good last year. They made a big trade, which means they gave up a lot to get one guy. Usually that doesn't work out when you're a mediocre.
But here's where me and you differ, right? Because you didn't have any faith in the Broncos, sure, and I had too much faith in Russell Wilson. But when it comes to the AFC West, I think the Raiders should be better than the Chargers. Let's just check out the points for and the points allowed so far, okay? The Raiders are 2-4. The Chargers are 4-3. The Chargers have put up 164 points and allowed 189 points. Mm-hmm. Okay, that already says their record does not reflect that. Mm-hmm. To the Raiders' point, they put up 163 points, so one less than the Chargers, and allowed 150 points, and they have a losing record. So I don't think the Chargers are better than the Raiders. I think the Raiders, all they got to do is stop shooting themselves in the foot and getting in their own way.
So what the Raiders have done since the beginning of time?
Because the Chargers are some winning organization.
No, I didn't say they are, but I'm saying you're asking the Raiders to stop raiding. That's literally what the Raiders do.
I'm asking them just win, baby. That's all I'm asking.
But seriously, there's a difference. So they were literally neck and neck last year, right? They should have tied. They should have both made the playoffs. They're the same team, right? One team made little moves and got better. One team went for it all and traded a lot to get one guy, right? And so a lot of people are going to say, oh my God, this team is the one that took the biggest step forward. But again, in football, that's not how that works. You can't give up a lot to get one person. It's a 53-man roster. There's guys coming in, there's guys going out. You need to always make sure your roster has depth. You need to always make sure your roster is balanced. And so I'm not surprised that the teams that have gone all in for one guy it hasn't panned out for them, because that's not how the history of football says. That's not how that works. The Chargers signed a guy and they traded just a second-round pick for Khalil Mack. Right. So they also got better, but they didn't give up a whole offseason's worth of assets to do it. The Raiders did, which is why I didn't think they were going to be that good, because they weren't a Super Bowl contending team before. I don't think this one move makes them that much better, as good as Devontae Adams is. And so and same thing with the Broncos. I said the Broncos had the 9th pick in the draft last year. We all know that they were a quarterback away, but when you trade that much, because mind you, they didn't just give up picks, they gave up players. So you took away from your roster already to get this guy. Obviously, one of them was Drew Lock, so that doesn't count. But you took away from your roster and picks to get somebody. And again, it's just not working out for you. So, it's weird. And you're seeing that. There's a lot of teams that are smiling right now. Seattle is smiling because not only are they playing well, but the Broncos suck. They're going to have a top 5, top 10 pick. Houston is really smiling right now because they're doing exactly what they need to do. Not only do they suck, I think they currently have the number 1 pick in the draft, but the Saints suck. If the draft were to start tomorrow, they would have the number 4 pick in the draft. Beautiful. That's what you want.
And the Raiders only gave up picks in this past draft, the 1st and the 2nd.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm talking about the Broncos, and then the Eagles. The Eagles are undefeated. The Saints suck. The Eagles might have a top 5 pick and a bottom 30 pick. That's insane.
Oh my God, the Eagles look ridiculous.
If the Eagles have like the 4th pick in the draft and Jalen Carter is on the board and they get to pair him back up with Jordan Davis on that defensive line, I'm going to tell you as a Giants fan, enjoy this year, brother, because it ain't going to last.
The Eagles, I don't get how there's people like twisting their lips the last couple of weeks. So before the Packers lost to the Giants and Jets back to back to back, you know what I mean? Before that, there were still people out here saying that they're favorites in the NFC. And I hate the Eagles. But I'm sitting here like, the fuck are you watching? Like the Eagles and the Cowboys as a team scared me more. That defense looks scarier than anything the Packers are putting together.
The Cowboys, I'm not worried about the Cowboys.
But that's my point. You're not worried about the Cowboys. And I'm saying, as somebody that played both teams, the Cowboys are a better team.
No, they're not. No, the fuck they're not.
Okay.
No, they're not.
Then the Packers?
Oh, then the Packers. Yes.
Yeah. I'm saying like
I thought you were saying the Cowboys were better than the Eagles. No.
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no, my bad. Let me be clear. I meant the Packers.
The Eagles don't really have a weakness on paper. And they're about to have 2 first-round draft picks.
They have a weakness. They don't.
Like, dude, honestly, Lord help everybody if they get upset in the playoffs this year. Don't let them have a top 5 pick and a top 20 pick. Lord help everybody if that happens, because they're going to get 2 stalwarts on their team, and then it's lights out. Again, Jalen freaking Carter. You don't really watch college football, right? So let me explain this to you. So you know how last year everybody was like, hyping up all these defensive linemen and all these defensive players, especially all the Georgia guys? Okay. Will Anderson, the edge rusher from Alabama, Jalen Carter, the defensive lineman from Georgia, they would have been the number 1 and number 2 picks in last year's draft. That's how good those guys are. They're better than all the defensive guys that just got drafted this year and who are already proven that they're those motherfuckers, right? If the freaking Eagles gets one of those guys in this year's draft, my God, they are going to be unstoppable, or at least on defense. Because Jalen Carter, if you put him next to Jordan Davis,
all right, I think we're done here. We're praising the Eagles. I'm fucking done.
All right, you know what? Let's end this since we're talking about the NFC East. Dan Snyder, man.
Oh, fuck. We got to talk about him.
We
Oh.
haven't talked about this, and I think it's crazy. What's going on?
I don't even think it's crazy. I'm sick of hearing about this uptight, fucking yuppie, overprivileged billionaire that has committed fucking shady act after shady act, and he's still around.
This is
Why?
well, they're saying might not be for much longer. The fact that Jim Irsay publicly came out and said, "Yeah, I think there is cause for us to get rid of this guy." He said that publicly. And
well, I mean, 5, 6, 7 years ago, that story about the Redskins withholding cheerleaders' passports in other countries for photo shoots came out. That's like 7 years ago.
The fact, but mind you, this is Jim Irsay that said that. He's like, yo, you could dig up all the dirt you want on me. My skeletons are already out in the open. I'm saying, bro, you gotta go. That's insane. And the fact that Dan Snyder was like, yo, bro, y'all take me down. Best believe I'm taking all you down.
And it's telling that the only other owner that seemed to sweat at that comment, Jerry Jones.
Yep.
Jerry Jones is the only one, and a very powerful owner. Don't get it twisted, everybody. For as much as I hate the Cowboys, Jerry Jones is one of the most influential owners in the league. And the fact that he's the one that got shook.
And I think that might have been a shot at Jerry. He might have said, look, I don't even got dirt on anybody. That's a bluff, but I got dirt on you. And that's all I need, because you were the guy that makes this whole thing go. Whatever Jerry says goes. We've seen that before. Again, which is another reason why the NFL is stupid for making one franchise so freaking important, especially when they're not winning. Like, that's so fucking dumb. Especially,
but it's barely that. It's more. It's not the franchise, more the property, right? Because Dallas Stadium is just one of the best stadiums in the country.
No, that's what it is. But what I'm saying is the Dallas Cowboy brand, because they're America's team, because of everything. And granted, kudos to Jerry Jones for playing that up and making sure that is relevant even to today. Fun fact: that was supposed to be the Steelers. The Roonies didn't want it. They were supposed to be America's team. They didn't want the moniker because they said we're not America's team. We're Pittsburgh's team. The Cowboys said we'll take it, and it makes sense. But again, to me, I think that's the issue when you do something like that, because you are putting one franchise over the whole league. So now, if Jerry Jones backs Dan Snyder is not going to go anywhere. And I think that's wrong, because it's a bad look for the league, because the league knows they have to get rid of Dan Snyder. They have to. You've just seen 2 owners in the last 10 years leave NBA franchises because their owners just can't, do the right thing. And yet you're the NFL and you're saying, oh, we can't touch Dan Snyder. For what? He's done worse things than Sarver and Sterling combined. And to be fair to Sarver and Sterling, they left on their own accords, quote unquote. The NBA didn't kick him out. Dan Snyder, we already know that the NFL is going to have to kick him out. Like, we know that. But if you're the NFL, I think you got to do the right thing. Ban him for life, like you did Donald Sterling, and pray that the Snyder family just says, all right, if we're banned for life, we're just going to sell the team and make our billions of dollars.
Let me real quick refresh everybody on Dan Snyder, because I pulled up the Wikipedia, because he's one of those people, like, I know there's a controversy section, so I might just pull it up. Since Snyder bought the Washington team, they have a losing record, 156, 212-1 through the end of the 2021 season. They've had 10 head coaches over 23 seasons. They have not advanced past the divisional round during his tenure. The media alleged that his managerial style and workplace culture have indirectly affected the team's performance during his tenure as the principal owner. Under Snyder, the team sued season ticket holders who were unable to pay during the Great Recession in the late 2000s, despite his claim that there were over 200,000 people on the season ticket waiting list. Partway through the 2009 season, Snyder temporarily banned all signs from FedEx Field, leading to further fan discontentment. Fans have also expressed discontentment about the game day experience, rising ticket and parking prices, and Snyder's policy of charging fans for tailgates in special areas of the stadium lot. Mind you, that since that was written last year, remember there was photos of the fucking leaks and shit in FedEx Field. There's a whole Redskins name controversy. I'm just skipping over it because everybody listening to this already knows about that. The defamation suit. Threatening a lawsuit in January 2011, Snyder demanded dismissal of the Washington City's paper sports writer, Dave McKenna, who had penned a lengthy article from the alternative newspaper called The Cranky Redskins Fans Guide to Dan Snyder. creating a critical list of controversies involving Snyder. McKenna had been needling Snyder for years in his columns, and the front page of the article had a defaced picture of Snyder with devil horns and a beard, an image Snyder claimed was anti-Semitic. Other sports writers have come out in support of McKenna in a statement released by the Simon Weston Hall Center, while acknowledging that the public figures are fair game for criticism and said the artwork used by the city paper was reminiscent of virulent anti-Semitism going back to the Middle Ages, and urged the city paper to issue an apology. Mike Bannon of the city paper issued a statement saying they take accusations of anti-Semitism very seriously, and so the artwork was meant to resemble the type of scribbling that teenagers everywhere have been using to deface photos. And the cover art was not anti-Semitic character. It was not an anti-Semitic character. In February, Snyder filed a lawsuit against the city paper before dropping it in September, aka filing a lawsuit to scare people into doing what he wants so he gets his way, which billionaires do all the time. There's a fucking environmental tag. I don't even know if I want to read this, but you know what? Actually, I do, because he's a piece of shit. In 2004, Snyder brokered a deal with the National Park Service to remove old growth trees from 200 feet, 61 meters, of the national parkland behind his home to grant him a better view of the Potomac River. Let me repeat that for people that don't understand what I just said. He wanted to remove fucking trees from preserved land so he could see the river from his home. Privilege. So yada, yada, yada. And on condition that he would replace it with 600 native saplings. Len Harley, a real estate broker who was not involved in Snyder's purchase of the estate, but was familiar with the area, estimated that a relatively unobstructed view of the river and its surroundings resulted from Snyder clearing would be about $500,000 to $1 million, and that would add that to his $10 million home value. That's why he wanted to do it. The clear cutting was started without approval and without environmental assessments as required by law. Snyder was fined. How much do you think he was fined for this?
At least $2 million.
$100. He was fined $100 by the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission in December of 2004. Snyder's neighbors also filed complaints about his clear cutting and historic easements in his home. There's another paragraph, but I just want to leave it there for you because he got fined $100.
And that's not even talking about the stuff that he did workplace. And
that's the next section. Don't worry, I got here. I just wanted to establish the piece of shit that this guy actually is. So the workplace culture, the shit that we already knew about. Because I just as a journalist, $100. But anyway, in July 2020, the Washington Post published a series of articles alleging that over 40 women were former employees of the organization, including office workers and cheerleaders, had been sexually harassed and discriminated against by Snyder and other male executive colleagues and players of the team since at least 2006. That December, it was also reported that Snyder had settled a sexual harassment claim with a former female employee for the sum of $1.6 million. The alleged incident that had occurred on his private plane while returning from the Academy of Country Music Awards in 2009, the two private investigations at the time by the team and an outside law firm failed to substantiate the woman's claim, with it being reported that Snyder's paid the sum to avoid any negative publicity. Because as we all know, investigations that the teams do always find guilt.
Very thorough.
Right? Yeah. A year-long independent investigation into the team's workplace culture led by lawyer Beth Wilkinson was concluded in July 2021. It found that incidents of sexual harassment, bullying, and intimidation were commonplace throughout the organization under his ownership. The NFL fined the team $10 million in response, with Snyder also voluntarily stepping down from running the team's day-to-day operations for a few months, giving those responsibilities to his wife.
For a few months.
Giving the responsibilities to his wife. On July 28, 2022, Snyder voluntarily testified before the United States House Committee on Oversight and Reform regarding his own investigation on Washington's history of workplace misconduct. I'm not going to keep going, but for y'all that want to look, there's also a financial improprieties section that starts with March 2021 and targeting other team owners, which seems to be more recent, which you already alluded to. But that's him in a nutshell. That's his Wikipedia.
The financial thing, that is actually important. And let's be real, that's the real reason why.
I'll do it real quick.
That's the only reason why the NFL wants to get rid of him.
Real quick. Financially, in March 2021, reports surfaced that Snyder may have intentionally underreported ticket sales to the NFL and IRS in order to pay a smaller share into the NFL's visiting team fund, allowing him to keep more of the ticket revenue than he otherwise would. On April 12, 2022, the House Oversight Committee sent a letter to the Federal Trade Commission alleging that Snyder had been keeping two separate financial ledgers since at least 2012. One that he would submit to the NFL and one that he showed the actual numbers, which were much different. Congress also alleged that Snyder would drive up prices by selling cheaper tickets in bulk to third-party vendors, causing the remaining tickets to become far more expensive. This would in turn force fans who wanted to attend games at FedEx Field either to join an expensive waiting list or buy expensive tickets. So this piece of shit was not only skimming money from the other owners, he was literally fucking over his own fans. You hurt Redskin fans, Commander fans more than the Giants ever could, you piece of shit. God.
And let's be honest, for all the bad stuff he's done, the NFL really wants to kick him out. It's like, oh, you stole from us? How dare you?
You've been stealing for us for 10 years. Not just you stole from us. It wasn't 1 or 2 seasons. You've been doing this shit for a decade. That's millions upon millions upon millions.
That might be close to $1 billion if you think about it. If it's been,
yeah. The Redskins or the Commanders are one of the most profit. They were $1 billion team over a decade ago.
Yeah, like that. If it's been over 10 years, that might be close to $1 billion in total that he stole from the NFL.
What a piece of garbage.
What a piece of garbage. So I think they said in December when they have their meetings that they might have a vote. We'll see. We'll keep an eye out for it. But apparently maybe this might be the end. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you can talk bad about women, you can talk bad about Black people, you could, not want to change your racist name. You can
sexually harass your female employees.
Right. You can sexually harass your female employees. You can even fuck over your fans, but you better not steal from your other owners or else they will get rid of you.
Don't fuck with me, Jerry Jones.
And so the fact that Dan Snyder's stupid enough to not even realize what line not to cross is that just tells you how inept and how egotistical and narcissistic he is in that regard. The fact that he was not even smart enough to say, let me not do the one thing I know that they will, try to kick me out for. Like, this is insane. When
the privilege, yo.
When Jim Irsay and the NFL owners say, hey, I know we're all pieces of shit, but this guy's got to go, that's when it's bad. The NBA has always kind of been like, oh, we love, Black Lives Matter. And they've always been able to at least, perceive like they're the good guys and say, hey, these are some bad apples. We need to get rid of them. The NFL, they can't even play that card. The NFL's like, we know we're all entitled billionaire pieces of shit.
Bro, we know Jerry Jones runs the Good Old Boys Club. We know Jerry Jones is the one actively working against Colin Kaepernick all that time. We know that. Like, it's not even a secret.
Right. Like, they don't even hide it. But when they say, hey, man, this guy's going too far, we got to get rid of him, that's how you are not making it to heaven, brother. It's like, good God. It's like, you need to repent. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so we'll see. Hopefully he's gone because he does not deserve a team. Again, I keep saying that is also a privilege. There's no law that says because I'm a billionaire, and I'm not, but I wish I was, but because I'm a billionaire, I have the right to own a professional sports team. It's an exclusive club. There's only so many. And by the way, there's more billionaires now than there ever was. So it's not like you have to keep them because you won't find anybody that will buy the DC team. Are you kidding me? Matter of fact, I'm sure the Walmart family, I keep forgetting their real names, so I just keep calling them the Walmart family.
Walton.
Huh?
The Waltons.
Oh, that's the name? Okay, the Waltons.
Yeah, that's Walton.
Okay. I'm sure they'd be pissed. Like, damn, we'd rather have bought DC than
Stan Kroenke's married into the Walton family, but the main family that's that royal Walmart family are the Waltons.
Okay, I'm sure now they're the richest owners in the NFL. I'm sure they're sitting there like, dang, we should just wait a year. We could have gotten DC. You know what I mean? So, you will find somebody that will be more than willing to pay Dan Snyder $5 billion.
And knowing how corrupt and blood money the NFL owners already are, it'll probably be some Saudi or another Arabian royalty. You know what I mean? Like, we're just being serious. It'll probably be one of them.
You know what? You know who I think it will be, which will be really bad? I think it'll be Bezos.
I can see that.
He already owns What's the DC paper down there?
Washington Post.
Yeah, he already owns that. I can see he's already in bed with the government. I could see him saying, "Yeah, let me take the DC team."
Oh my God.
And
I'm rolling my eyes just because the fucking people that will start the conspiracy theories of a lifetime. Not that he's already richer than God, right? That he could just afford it, and why not? But the conspiracies if he buys the DC.
And to be fair to the NFL, I think they'll do it just off the strength of he'll pour money into it and make, because again that stadium,
and then they have an inroad to Amazon Prime.
Right, exactly, and that he'll build a brand new stadium, probably a beautiful. It probably will rival Jerry World. It really might. So if you're the NFL, I can't even be mad at them for saying, "Yeah, why would we not give it to Bezos? We know he'll call it the Prime Prism or whatever he'll call it, and it'll probably be a work of art in freaking Virginia somewhere. Like, it makes sense." So anyway, you can find me at Never for Brett Me. That's NEVA_4 BRETT_ME on Instagram and Twitter.
Not the Chuck D on all the socials. We're at _dope blog on Instagram, at the dope blog, all one word, on Twitter. And even though I haven't updated it recent enough, and I will, www.thedope.blog, because we've been putting all these podcasts up on YouTube this season.
Speaking of YouTube, please like, share, subscribe, and join us next time as we continue to discuss other people's excellence.
Peace.